Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the placement of the eighth lord in different houses. We all know that the eighth house is one of the dusthanas and the house which is associated with some upheavals and difficulties. It is the house of longevity. It is the house of important transitions in your life. So whenever the period of eighth house will initiate, or whenever the planet that is connected to the eighth house will come in the dasha, or whenever a planet that is aspecting the eighth house or situated in the eighth house or connected to the eighth lord in some way, that period is going to bring some upheavals in your life, some fears in your mind, and some important transitions in your life. So the eighth house becomes very important when you are expecting some change. But there are some good and bad qualities related to this house, which I will be talking through this video. So stay connected till the end, and maybe you get to know something new which you may not have heard of. So friends, the eighth house is the house of longevity. It is also the house of death, because if the person is attained the age, at that time the eighth house has to be active. It will also tell you about the kind of death one will have, which means whether the person is going to have a peaceful death or a difficult death, or it will also tell you uh, if you are going to live long, or what are the reasons of your death. So that will be told through the presence of the eighth house placed planets or the condition of the eighth house. Also, the eighth house is about allegations, capital punishments. It is the house of chronic illnesses. It is the house of suddenness of events. It is the house of accidents. It is the house of surgeries. And it is also the house which is containing many good qualities. Like, it will tell you about the unearned wealth that you can have. It will also tell you about your in-laws. It will also tell you about the status of your spouse's wealth. It will also tell you about your healing potential. So lots of doctors, lots of defense personals will be having their eighth house quite strong. This house is the seat of Kundalini energy. So Kundalini energy is a very important dormant energy that lies in our root chakra. So everybody is going to have some, you can say, attainment of the Kundalini energy. So every person will have the Kundalini energy rising up to a certain chakra. So based upon the kind of birth you have and based upon the things that you do, you will be able to rise your Kundalini up to a certain chakra. Those people who are able to rise their Kundalini till their crown chakra are the blessed ones. So for them, we can say their Kundalini energy has opened up. So they will experience lots of great qualities in and around themselves, and they are supposedly called to be attaining moksha or enlightenment. So it is a very important factor or a very important house where your growth is concerned. So if your eighth lord is a benefic planet, and if it is placed in the ascendant, and if it is connected with the ascendant lord, then you can very well say that the person can open up his Kundalini energies. So the eighth house will also give you power of occult sciences. So these are the hidden subjects, or the power to explore deep into hiddenness. So these are the people who could be very good with research, and who could have lots of interest and knowledge about the occult subjects. So what are the occult subjects? These are the subjects like numerology, astrology, palmistry. So tantra, mantra, all these things, they come through the eighth house. Lots of people who are having moon in an exalted state in their eighth house or sitting in their own sign are the ones, in my practical experience, I have seen that they are into deep tantric practices and they are great clairvoyant people. So based upon the planets that are placed, it will tell you a lot about your inner potential and inner development. So if you are having benefics placed in the eighth house, all the good qualities of the eighth will be in abundance to you. So you will be very good with occult knowledge, occult interest, and you will be having lots of money which is coming through unearned sources, because this is the house of inheritance, this is the house of insurance money, this is the house of refunds that you get through income tax, so various things. So if you are having benefics placed here, then you can be very lucky in these matters. And if you are having benefics here, it will also give you a long life and a very peaceful end of life. If you are having malefics placed here, they will decrease the good qualities of the eighth house, but they will amplify the bad qualities of the eighth house. They will make you susceptible towards injuries, towards surgeries, towards accidents, towards suddenness of events. So it is not good to have any malefic present in the eighth house. But sometimes many charts will be having malefics in the eighth. Then what needs to be seen? First of all, you need to see if there is any benefic aspect coming on the planets that are placed in the eighth. If there is no benefic aspect, then you have to see the condition of that planet in the D9 chart. So that will also tell you a lot. So if in the D9 chart, these planets are sitting in 6, 8, 12 houses, then they have lost in their strength. So they will not be able to harm you much. But if they are sitting in the Kendra houses in the D9 chart, and they are in your 8th house in the D1 chart, then they can be very extremely, you can say, malefic to you. So these minute things you have to check in the D9 chart also, especially when you are studying your trik houses like 6, 8, and 12. So there are certain positions of the 8th lord where it will give you very good results, but there are certain positions where the 8th lord may not give you good results. So I will be talking about all these placements through this video. Stay connected till the end of my video. So friends, first of all, let's study the placement of the 8th lord in the first house. Now the first house is your entire self, your tanu bhav. It is your body. It is your entire life. It is also about your character. So what happens is, for certain ascendants, the 8th lord will cease to be a malefic. It will behave like a benefic. For example, for the Aries ascendant, the 8th lord is Scorpio. So the 8th house is Scorpio. So the lordship of 1 and the 8th house is ruled by Mars. So here it will behave like a benefic. Then for the Libra ascendant, the 8th house is having Taurus. So here again, Venus is controlling first and the 8th house. So whenever the same planet controls the first and the 8th house, they will behave like a benefic only. The other set of two ascendants are Sagittarius, where the 8th lord is Cancer, and it will behave like a benefic. Then the other ascendant is Capricorn, where the 8th lord is Leo. Leo will also behave like a benefic. Reason to it is that moon and sun will never be a malefic for anyone on their own. So they will always behave like a benefic for any given person. So their lordship will not give you bad results, even if they are placed in any given house of your chart. So what happens when the 8th lord, other than these four ascendants, sits in the first house? In that case, the person will have some health problems. Why I'm saying health problems? Because wherever the 8th lord will sit, it will cause some health defects. Secondly, it is sitting in Upche house, in the house of growth to itself. If you count from here, it is sitting in the, you can say, 6 houses away from itself. So that means with due span of time, the person's health will come down. The person will have some problems, but the good results of 8th will also rise, which means that with due span of time, the person will become very good with the knowledge of the hidden world. The person will become very good with research subjects, and he will get good results of unearned money also. It also shows that the person can get some insurance money or inheritance money because of this placement. Now, this placement in the first house can be a little bit problematic, where your, you can say, dependence about your character is concerned. It can mean that the person may not be very dependable. It can also mean that the person is capable of changing, and the person himself goes through lots of transformations in his life. And wherever this lord is aspecting, suppose for the Cancer ascendant, the 8th lord is Aquarius, that is Saturn. Saturn is sitting in the first house. Now from here, Saturn is aspecting your 7th house and your 10th house. These are two important houses. So the 7th house, your marriage will never be a settled one. You may have late marriage, or if you happen to have an early marriage, there you will face problems. From here, it is aspecting your 10th house. So it means your career will never be stable. You keep on changing your career, or there will be lots of ups and downs in your career due to this placement of Saturn. So here you need to do the remedy of Saturn. Many a times when the planets of Trik Bhavas, they are sitting in the Kendra houses, they attain strength. So then they have good abilities to damage you. For that, you have to do the remedies of those planets. Also, if they have lost in their strength in the D9 chart by sitting in 6, 8, 12 houses, then you need not worry. Otherwise, you have to do some remedies for that. Then comes the placement of the 8th lord in the 2nd house. Now, friends, wherever the 8th lord is going to sit, it is going to harm the prospects, living prospects of that house. So for you, your own self, the 2nd house is your face, your eyes, your ears, your nose. So you may have some problems related to some part of your face. It will also give you a very unsettled family life. But the thing is that you will, whenever you will try to save your money, it will not stick, because the 8th lord is sitting in your 2nd house. You will find difficulties in saving your money. But there is a good point here. That is, whenever you are getting some unearned money, or you are getting some money through insurance or inheritance, that money will stick. So what you need to do is you can reinvest that money into some FDs or bank deposits that will be helpful to you. So this placement is also not very good for the prospects of the 2nd house. But from here, the 8th lord is aspecting its own self, that is the 8th house itself. So the prospects of the 8th house will rise. You will have a long life, and you will also benefit out of the positive things which are coming from the 8th house. You could also be a doctor, and you could gain through that profession. Now comes the placement of the 8th lord in the 3rd house. So friends, 3rd house is 8th to 8th, and as per Bhavat Bhavam, whenever a planet is sitting in equal number of houses from itself, it will gain in strength. The prospects of that house will gain. For example, if the 3rd lord is sitting 3 places from itself, okay? So it means if it is sitting in the 5th house, the prospects of the 3rd house will increase. Similarly, if the 8th lord is sitting 8 places from itself, that is in the 3rd house, then the prospects of the 8th house will increase. So you will have a long life, and also you will face many difficult situations, and you will always be engaged in dealing with those situations. The 3rd house is your younger sibling. On that account also, you will undergo some sufferings. Your younger siblings may not be a very happy medium, or your own rapport with them will suffer due to some reason or the other. Sometimes your own communication can land you up in difficulties. Now from here, the 8th lord is also aspecting your 9th house. So it means your relationship with your father or with your gurus, or whenever you are trying to attain higher education, that is the college studies, there you will face problems, because you are getting the aspect of the 8th lord from here. So the good things about the 8th house will increase, longevity will increase, and money coming through inheritance or insurance will be useful to you. Else, the 3rd house will undergo some sufferings, will also undergo some transformations, because I told you wherever the 8th lord is sitting, that house will definitely undergo lots of transformations. Now we'll talk about the presence of the 8th lord in the 4th house. Now friends, the 4th house contains many good things. It is about your schooling, it is about your domestic life, it is also about the place where you live, it is about your mother, and it is also about the subjects that interests you, that you may be studying. So it shows that you will be interested in the study of obsolete subjects like Sanskrit, archaeology, or history. These subjects will interest you in school. And 8th house can cause some problems with injuries due to accidents, because the fourth house is also about vehicles. So you could be prone towards accidental injuries, especially if the fourth lord is also sitting in the fourth house, or if there is a malefic present along with the uh, eighth lord in your fourth house. It can also cause some chest area related problems to you, or heart related some issues to you. So you need to do some remedies here in this case. And you will not be able to have very close set of friends, and you will also see that your in-laws will have lots of interference in your domestic life. It can also mean that you will gain something from your in-laws after your marriage to your spouse. So that can also be seen through this placement. There is also a fear of injury from animals when the eighth lord is sitting in the fourth house. Now, friends, presence of the eighth lord in the fourth house is also going to cause lots of changes in your profession, because from here it is aspecting your 10th house, and you could have a profession related to land, or related to schools, which could also cause some ups and downs in your career because of the aspect of the eighth lord from your fourth house. Now, when the eighth lord is sitting in your fifth house, again, fifth house is your subjects that you want to study, that you are interested in studying. So you could have interest towards ancient subjects. It can also cause some problems in your abilities to learn. So you may not be very much interested in learning, but there are some things that you should keep in mind. First of all, there are some times when in some certain given ascendants, the fifth lord and the eighth lord could be same. For example, for Sagittarius sign falling in the fifth house, the eighth house will have Pisces. The lordship is same. Here, the eighth lord will behave like a benefic. So there could be other ascendants also where the fifth and the eighth lord are same. There, if the eighth lord is sitting in the fifth house, they will give you good results. And sometimes the eighth lord could be exalted here in the fifth house. Then also you can expect some good results. You could be very good with your studies of research work or subjects which are occult, and you could do very well with your studies. But sometimes what happens is that the eighth lord is not in a good condition or not in a friendly sign in the fifth house. There the fifth house gets damaged, right? So the love life will also suffer due to this, and your children abilities to have children will also suffer due to this. You may face some difficulties on that regard, but not under these ascendants where it is sitting in its exaltation or in its own sign. But if the eighth lord is damaged here due to some malefic aspect, then you could face some problems on those grounds. Now we'll talk about the placement of the eighth lord in the sixth house. That forms a Viprit Raj Yoga, especially if the sixth lord is also sitting in the sixth house itself. So it's a perfect Viprit Raj Yoga. So all the negatives of the sixth house will diminish, will be demolished, and all the negatives of the eighth house will also be demolished. And then in turn, the native will gain. So you will gain through adverse circumstances, you will gain through hardships, you will gain through healing others, and you will have lots of rise in life after going through tough situations. So this is a good placement. And you should not forget that the sixth house is also the house of disease, and the eighth house is the house of chronic problems. So it can also cause some troubles related to your health, but then eventually you will come out of it. You will be able to benefit out of it monetarily if this placement is happening in the sixth house. Now we'll talk about the placement of the eighth lord in the seventh house. So friends, from here it is aspecting your own self, that is your ascendant. So you will definitely go through many transformations in your life, and this placement will harm the prospects of your marriage. You will find difficulties in sustaining your marriage, and your partner may not be very dependable here. You could have some health issues which could be very chronic in nature, and sometimes it also leads to two marriages, breakdown of the first marriage. This placement can also shorten the life because the eighth lord is sitting 12 places from itself. This placement can also give some chronic problems because now it is sitting in the Marak house. And you need to be very careful about the people whom you meet in your day-to-day basis or in your partnerships, because this placement will not give you good results of any kind of partnerships. And this placement will be good uh, for the prospects of bringing changes in your own self, or if there is a benefic placed in the seventh house, then you can expect that in your life, if you change yourself in a certain way, your life will improve. So here also some remedies of the eighth house needed to be done. Then we will talk about the placement of the eighth lord in the eighth house itself. Again, it is forming a wonderful Vipreet Raj Yoga, especially if there is a malefic also here. Then under adverse conditions, you will gain somewhere. This placement is very good for the longevity. So there are certain planets which will cause harm in the eighth house, like Mars, Ketu, and Rahu, and even Sun will shorten the life by being in the eighth house. As I have told you earlier, that malefics will destroy the good qualities of the eighth house, but the bad qualities will be enhanced. But it is only Saturn that does well in the eighth house, and it will increase your longevity. But at the same time, with the passage of time, once the person has attained old age around 65 plus, the person will be having some health problems in his old age. See, Saturn delays things. It does not deny anything, but it will delay. So it will delay your longevity. You will live long, but the diseases, it is also the karak of diseases. So it means after you have attained old age, you will have health problems for sure. So if there is a benefic aspect coming, then this may not happen. Or if the planet Saturn, which is sitting in the eighth house, has gone weak in the D9 chart, then also it may not be able to harm you. So then we will talk about the placement of the eighth lord in the ninth house. Now the ninth house is your college education, it is your gurus, it is your father, it is your religiousness. So what happens is the person may not be very religious about his religion. He may want to explore other religions also, and he will be very attached to his gurus. And I'm saying he may not be very attached with his gurus, and he will have problems in adjustment with his father, and his luck will be delayed here. So what happens is that the person will face many challenges in his luck. It is a good combination for people to settle in foreign lands, because in your own country your luck is not favoring, but when you go to a foreign land, there your luck will enhance. So this placement will also give you problems when you are wanting to study for your college. In your college education, you will face some challenges. So here again, the remedies have to be done. But the prospects of the eighth house will rise. So you will have a long life. You will gain through occult subjects. You will gain through management of others' finances. You will gain through insurances or insurance industry. So that will, you will benefit out of that. Now, if the eighth lord is sitting in the 10th house, 10th house is your status, is your career. Your career will also go through many ups and downs. You will not have stability of career. These people are usually seen changing jobs often. They are not able to stick to a given job for a long time. They could be doing work of scrap, or they could be doing the work of construction or insurances or research work, something like that. So you could be involved in those things. But if you are not doing any of these things, then you will see lots of ups and downs in your career. So it is not stable. And also you have to be careful about your reputation. There could be allegations because now the eighth house has gained power and it is sitting in your 10th house. So you have to be very careful about your reputation and status. So here again, some remedy has to be done. Now we'll talk about eighth lord in the 11th house. 11th house is the house of gains. It's the house of your earnings. You will have lots of problems in earning money. It will sometimes come to you easily. Sometimes you will be without any earnings. So lots of problems on that. And where your desires are concerned, there also you will feel that it is a great task for you to attain your desires. Sometimes all of a sudden you will get something, but then there would be times when you will be cribbing. As per Brihad Prashar Hora Shastra, 8th Lord sitting in the 11th house will give you initial health issues, but with the passage of time, your life will improve, your luck will improve. It is also sitting in Kendra Bhav to itself. So the 8th house will gain in power. From here, it is also aspecting your 5th house. There will be problems in attainment of education or in attainment of children or in your love life. From here, you can gain through insurance or inheritance money, or the money may come to you all of a sudden. That way you will gain. But there are some positives and negatives with this placement. Now talking about the 8th Lord in the 12th house. So again, it is forming a Viprit Raj Yoga. The person will gain in adverse circumstances. You could be a defense personnel living in very difficult conditions, protecting your country, but you are gaining out of it. You are gaining your salary out of it. You could be a doctor, healing patients, critical patients, and gaining your prestige and your salary out of it. So this is a good placement for people doing difficult tasks. And this placement also shows that you are wasting your money on undesired things, because the 12th house is the house of your expenditure. This placement can shorten the life of a person, because now it has gone to the house of expenditure, house of losses. So that way we can understand. So friends, this was all about the placement of the 8th Lord in different houses. I hope you must have gained something new through my video. Do share it with your friends, and do encourage by pressing on the like icon if you have liked my video. See you very soon with the next video on the 9th house. Stay connected. Goodbye, friends.